Hoiberg will launch the three. Oh, he hits!
Clobber to left field. Another double for Washington. This time it's Nick Kreznak.
But no doubt, 2-run, go-ahead homer in the 7th. The bat flip puts the exclamation mark on a comeback.
An RBI knock from Kreznak, who's had an incredible night.
Sam Hoiberg, the son of the coach, to steal the bucket.
Welcome back to the sports section, episode 6. He's back, everybody. The biggest Max Duggan fan on the planet Earth, our guy Nick Kreznak. Show everybody what you're wearing, Krezzy.
Duggan, baby. Guy drinks a lot of Nikolai.
A lot of it. Shout out to Thuggin' Duggan. Hopefully we get him on the pod at some point.
That would make my life, I think.
I love that guy. What an all-time legend.
Dude, if you're a fan of the Frogs, you love Max Duggan.
You want to know a little fun fact, Krezzy?
I would love to.
This mini helmet right here on my desk, that's signed by the man.
Is that signed by the man, the myth, the legend?
That is signed by Maxwell Duggan, number 15, for the national champion runner-up TCU Horned Frogs. 1-5, baby, 1-5er. We love that guy here. We are a Max Duggan podcast.
Yes, indeed we are. That is a very accurate statement.
Have you noticed that I've introduced you a different way every episode?
I have noticed that. I love it.
I'm going to keep doing that. And I might make up shit along the way. I did that last episode.
Hey, I love it. When you introduced me as the Crimson Chin, I mean, not many people know me as the Crimson Chin, but for those who do, you know what we're all about here.
We're going to go ahead and throw up a picture right here on the screen of Nick Kreznak dressed as the Crimson Chin for Halloween a few years ago. That was an all-time costume.
Oh, what a night. I didn't realize I had that big of a chin until all the seniors in our fraternity got the idea.
It runs in the family for sure. Your dad's got a nice chin on him.
Yeah, he does.
Dude, do you remember that Conor McGregor quote on The Ultimate Fighter? Who was it? Was it Cody Garbrandt?
I think I know the one you're talking about. I think it was with Dillashaw.
Yes, it was TJ Dillashaw, and he was like, "Where are the ring girls? Just go up there and shake that chin around it."
No, that was Uriah Faber.
Yes, it was Uriah when they coached tough against each other.
Yeah, Dana loved that.
Go up there and shake your chin around, Uriah.
Dude, that guy has some of the all-time quotes.
He's so funny.
So good.
If we ever get Connor on this podcast, just know that we're billionaires living on some island somewhere.
Yeah, never working again.
Except for recording this pod.
That's the full-time job, baby.
Big time. Well, let's get into a little bit. You got any updates for the people, Krezzy? It's been, I think it's been like a week since we talked. You got anything for everybody?
Yeah, man. All's good over here. It's getting a little chilly up in Northern California. Seeing a lot of rain, which kind of sucks. Not getting out and able to golf as much as I would like. What are you gonna do? The holidays are right around the corner, so that's always something to look forward to as well.
Well, speaking of your golf game, I know that you and your family are members at Moraga Country Club. We are going to have their finest employee on here in just a couple minutes, our guy Tim Daly, so stay tuned for that. That'll be for college football, but before we get there, we did a full UFC preview last Friday. What a card. My goodness, it lived up to expectations, and the expectations were in the stratosphere.
Yeah, I think it exceeded expectations. I mean, that card was unbelievable. The amount of finishes on that card, it was just great for viewing pleasure, that's for sure. And I thought it was just kind of ironic because pretty much every fight on that card was a banger up until the 2 title fights, which were the most anticipated ones.
Yes, those were a little bit boring, but I think that you have to look at it from a historical perspective because those 2 fights were outrageously dominant. Holy smokes. Islam 50-45 over Jack Della Maddalena, moving up his first 170-pound fight in his career. And the new champ is now the pound for pound number one fighter on the planet, according to the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
That was impressive to say the least. Like going up a weight division and just doing what he did to JDM, it was pretty impressive. It honestly was crazy because towards the end of the fight, it literally looked like JDM was about to start crying inside the octagon.
He looked like he wanted to cry, that's for sure.
Dude, his coach literally looked at him and was like, "Wipe that off your face." Like, I don't even remember what he said, but JDM literally looked terrified.
He looked horrified, and we talked about him having good grappling before that fight, which he does. Doesn't compare.
Not against Islam, he doesn't.
Nope. Islam had, what, 18 minutes of control time in that fight?
Yeah, dude, he was impressive. I mean, I thought the moving up a weight class would play a pretty big role in this fight, but boy, was I wrong. It was
It didn't.
it was the exact opposite. He fucking went in there and just manhandled JDM for 5 rounds. It really was not close at all, and I don't even remember JDM having any like moments in that fight either.
He had one combination in the third round that I remember where he hit Islam with like two significant strikes in a row. And I was like, oh shit, he's got something. Actually, I don't think I even thought that. I think I was like, oh, Islam forgot to put his hands up. And now JDM has his back on the canvas again.
Yep, he was on the canvas early and often.
So before we get to who might be next for Islam, I do want to talk about the co-main event, the other title fight, Zhang Weili and Valentina Shevchenko, pretty much solely for the reason that I want to ask you, Krezi, do you think Valentina Shevchenko is the greatest women's fighter of all time?
She's up there, man. I think the only other person that has an argument for that is Amanda Nunes.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I think Shevchenko might be number one. The only hesitancy I have of that is because she has fought Nunes twice and she's lost twice. But that is also Valentina moving up a weight class and fighting a bigger person, which is exactly what Wei Li just did in that fight. But what she did to Zhang Wei Li was scary, bro. Like Zhang Wei Li is a killer. And what Valentina was able to do to her for 5 rounds, 25 minutes, it was very impressive. So I definitely think Valentina has a case for the greatest women's mixed martial artist of all time.
It's her and Amanda says that she wants to come back and to fight Kayla Harrison at the White House, which I firmly believe would be easily the biggest women's UFC fight of all time. And I'm very excited to see that. I hope it does happen. But let's talk about more pressing matters. We had two electric knockouts right before the co-main event. Morales and Prates. I got one word to describe both of these guys. Actually, give me two words. Fucking problems.
Yeah. And another word I would say is gangsters.
Mhm.
Those guys go in there and they're so fucking confident. It's crazy. And then they just do what they do. Like Prates went in there and slept the former champion who has never been knocked out before in the UFC. And then Morales was fighting the number one contender in the welterweight division in Sean Brady, and he put him away in the first round. It was really impressive from both those guys.
And the thing with Sean Brady is that I feel like he really would have had a chance if he would have gotten that fight to the mat. But Michael Morales is massive. He's so hard to take down. He's like the biggest 170 I've ever seen. It's incredible what that guy can do. He's a monster.
He is huge for that weight division. I have no idea how he makes 170 pounds.
It's incredible. And Carlos Prates knocks out fucking everybody that stands in front of him. But there are other implications at 170. Prates just beat Leon, but he was coming off of a loss to Ian Machado Gary. A huge fight in the 170-pound division that will happen this Saturday in Qatar with the former champ Bilal Muhammad taking on Ian Gary. Ian Gary is the favorite in this fight. Do you think that Gary can get a title shot with a win, or do you think that Morales slash Prates would be up next?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the 170 division is just stacked, man. There's a lot of guys right there that have a case for a title shot right now. And I mean, obviously, we don't know what's going to happen on Saturday between Ian Gary and Bilal, but assuming Ian Gary can go in there and get a finish or a decisive win over a guy like Bilal Muhammad, I think he's right there for a title shot too. So we'll see how he performs on Saturday. But I mean, he took Shavkat to the distance. I mean, that was impressive in itself. No one's ever gone the distance with Shavkat besides Ian Gary. And obviously, Shavkat's right there too, but he's injured. So you never know what's going to happen there. And there's that conversation of Ilya Taporia as well. So there's a lot of possibilities at 170. I really have no idea what's going to happen.
I would love to see Ilya and Islam at the White House, but the timing doesn't really match up because Islam will most likely fight again right at the end of Ramadan, I would think. So probably March, you're looking at Islam. I just don't know if he would want to sit out for 8 months to wait for the White House. Ilya is projected to fight in January on the first Paramount card. I don't know if the timing necessarily lines up with the two of those guys, but if you had to pick, they both had incredible finishes on Saturday night. Would you rather see Morales or Prates get a title shot, or do you think that they should fight each other for that shot?
If I were to make the decision, I would have those guys fight. I think that there's a few guys that are ahead of both Prates and Morales on the title shot list, I guess, so call it, with Shavkat and if Ian Gary gets a win on Saturday. So if I was Dana White, I would try and set up a banger of a fight between Michael Morales and Carlos Prates.
That would be absolutely electric. I have no idea who would be favored, and I have no idea who would win. Morales is a little bit bigger, but Prates just knocks out everybody he fights.
Yeah, they both got thunder in their fists.
Regardless, the 170-pound division in the UFC is a complete shark tank. Anyway, we are excited to see what happens there. Let's move on and get to our favorite team in sports today before we do college football playoff with our guy Tim Daly. Krezer, do you have a favorite team in sports today?
You know, I actually do. And I might be a little biased here, but I'm going the NHL route. And I'm going with the San Jose Sharks. Dude, I haven't been into hockey very much recently just because the Sharks have been so bad. But my God, the Sharks have some young bucks on the team that are studs. You got the Macklin Salabrini, the number one pick in last year's draft. And he's not only one of the biggest rising stars in the NHL, he is one of the best players in the NHL currently. He's third in total points out of everyone in the NHL, only behind Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid. I'm sure you've heard those two names before. And in 20 games, he has 13 goals and 17 assists. And he just had a hat trick the other night, too. And his skating partner, Will Smith, he's also having a hell of a season. Those guys have a combined age of 39 years old. And also, they have a goalie who's 23 years old, Yaroslav Askarov, who is a beast. So, my favorite team of the day is the San Jose Sharks. They are on the rise. Keep an eye out for them. I'm excited to see how the season plays out.
So you'll have to talk to our guy Timmy when he comes on. He is a diehard Sharks fan as well. And he has been talking to me over the last few weeks about how special this Celebrini kid is. And I knew how highly touted he was coming out of the draft, and especially when the Sharks got that number one pick, considering how terrible the Sharks have been over the last few years. But this dude is, I'll say it again, a problem. Oh my goodness. I've seen his highlights. I haven't watched a full Sharks game yet this season, but
Dude,
problem.
yeah, he's a beast. He's 19 years old, and he has 2 hat tricks this year. That's like unheard of. And he's third in points in the league behind Connor McDavid, who might be the most talented hockey player of all time. And then you got Nathan McKinnon too, who's just a really highly touted player and has been for a long time with the Avalanche.
So I'm going to keep it in the NHL for my favorite team in sports today. It will be the Philadelphia Flyers. I want to give massive props to the Flyers here. So we are recording this on Thursday night. This game will be happening tonight, last night for everyone that is listening on Friday. So tonight is the Flyers Hockey Fights Cancer game. And I want to give big props to the Flyers because they are the first NHL team to do it this way. They are allowing local children with cancer to design custom skate skins and custom goalie helmets by the children that are fighting cancer that they will be wearing in their pregame warmups. I want to give a very special shout out to Frankie Wilson. She is an 11-year-old girl battling Ewing sarcoma, a rare form of bone cancer, and she is one of the 7 children that gets to design these custom skate skins, as well as the oldest, I guess not child, but a 19-year-old Julia Deitel from Ohio who is battling grade 4 glioblastoma. And she got to work with her favorite player, Trevor Zegras, and she put on his skates that he will be wearing in the pregame tonight. And here I am still living despite it all. Probably one of the cooler charity events. All of those skate skins and goalie helmets will also be auctioned off after the game, and all the proceeds will be donated to children fighting cancer. So a great job by the Philadelphia Flyers here. Just hats off.
Yeah, big shout out there. I mean, always props to teams that are doing things like that for kids who are sick. And obviously, cancer is a terrible thing. And I feel like a lot of other NHL teams should follow suit here. So definitely a great feel good story and massive shout out to the Flyers for that.
100%. And we give our thoughts and prayers out to all of those children that are affected by cancer. And we hope for the best for those 7 children that get to design those skins and the goalie mask for tonight. There are some really cool designs. So congrats to them and best wishes as well. All right. Should we get into it? College football playoff projections with our guy Tim Daly, our resident college football expert.
Let's get to it, baby.
Let's do it. All right. Let's talk some college football. Welcome on our resident college football expert, our guy Tim Daly.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you for having me. Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time to join. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
The college football landscape is wild right now. We just had the most recent college football playoff rankings come out on Tuesday. Didn't see too much change, but the next couple weeks, there are massive implications regarding who will be in and who will be out. So, Timmy, I want to start with you, and let's start at the top of these rankings. Ohio State number 1, Indiana number 2. Expected. Those
Absolutely.
two are on a collision course for the Big Ten title game in Indianapolis in 2 Saturdays from now. Let's say Ohio State wins that game. They would be 13-0. They would be the number 1 team in the college football playoff. No one would debate that. Where do you rank Indiana if Texas A&M wins the SEC?
I mean, this goes first off before we get into the rankings, but I would just state right away is you cannot be punished for playing in your conference championship game under any circumstance, especially if that's a loss. Like, it doesn't matter. You played 13 games while everybody else sat on their couch. So in terms of that, obviously, if A&M runs the table, they beat Texas in the final week of the season, and they end up playing whoever I believe they're on the west side of the SEC. So they would get Georgia for the time being. So, I mean, if they run the table against Texas and Georgia to end the year, I think it's pretty hard to not say. Honestly, they might be the number 1 team.
It's a possibility. And there's so many implications there. I do want to get to the SEC.
Absolutely.
because Georgia is done with conference play. They're 7-1 in conference. They finished their season with Charlotte this week. It's the SEC Cupcake Week, by the way.
Always.
Krez, I mean, the SEC Cupcake Week, you're a former athlete. It's weird playing a non-con team during conference season. Did you guys do that in the Pac-12?
Yeah, we did do that. I think we had a series against LMU right in the middle of our Pac-12 conference play, which yeah, it was weird. It was like having it wasn't a weekend off, but like it's not the same as playing a team in your conference, you know? And I think Georgia was like 43-point favorites this week. I feel like that just shouldn't be happening this late into the season.
They claim it just means more, but they play 8 conference games.
And thankfully, they're changing that schedule to 9 soon. But I was looking into this pretty deep today. So there is a chance, and a likely chance, that Georgia, Alabama, and Ole Miss all finish at 7-1 in the SEC. In that case, it would go to a 3-way tie. At this point, that would likely be decided by the 4th tiebreaker in the SEC, which is winning percentage among common opponents in conference.
What kind of tiebreaker is that?
Ridiculous. As of now, Georgia would win that tiebreaker. So we're expecting to see A&M and Georgia, the number 3 team and the number 4 team in the land, playing for the SEC title. Now, let's bring the other conferences into this, because Ole Miss is on a bye this week, and they're in a really good spot. Do you think there's a chance, Timmy, that Ole Miss could get a bye potentially?
That is definitely in the realm of possibilities, and I honestly like Lane Kiffin's move to go to the bye this week. You know, he got the Furman game and the Citadel game out early in the year. You know, they were already signed up for somebody else in the SEC this week, as per usual. I think it's pretty hard, especially if Ohio State and Indiana play a close game in Indianapolis. I think it's hard to bump either of those teams out of the top 4. Realistically. With that said too, right, the ACC being so weak this year, I think that also opens up a 4th spot for the loser of either the SEC title game or the loser of the Big Ten title game.
So let's talk about the SEC really quick once again. A&M is going to be in. Georgia is going to be in. Ole Miss is going to be in. Even if they don't play for the conference title, they have a bye this week, and they play Mississippi State next weekend. That should be a cupcake for them. Krez, give me your perspective, because there's Oklahoma, and there's Alabama, and there's Vanderbilt. I think the maximum that we see could be 5 SEC teams. Do you think that there is 5 in, Krez?
I mean, if you look back at recent history, man, I feel like the SEC gets favored a lot of the time here in college football. And assuming those teams, like you just said, Oklahoma, Alabama, and Vandy, if they finish the season off without losing a game, they only have 2 losses, right? They'll be 10-2, and it's hard to keep a SEC team with only 2 losses out of the playoff, I think. So I definitely could see 5, maybe even 6. Who knows?
So, Timmy, as our resident college football expert here, give me your Big Ten take, because I have an opinion that Ohio State and Indiana are obviously going to be in. But I kind of think that Oregon and SC might be playing for a college football playoff this weekend.
I actually have that jotted down right now. I think it's loser out weekend for either of these teams. With that said, I think I'm going to look a little bit forward and point out that Ohio State still has to go to Michigan. Ryan Day has not beat the Wolverines in a very long. I don't know. Has he ever beat the Wolverines? I honestly forget.
Never.
Yep.
Dude, I'm a huge Michigan fan, and I was going to bring that up. If Michigan wins that Ohio State game, they have an argument to be in too.
Because they have the best win in the country.
Yeah, they'll have 2 losses, and they'll beat the number 1 team in the country, you know? And I don't know. I'm not saying that they're going to go out and beat Ohio State, but that always seems to be a tough game for Ryan Day, for sure.
Well, in that game, that's the Big House.
Yes, I was going to say Ohio State's been the number 1 team since week 2. Since they beat Texas in the first week of the year, it's been them from the start. So I think if Michigan wins at home against Ohio State. They have the best win in the country, and therefore, like, how do you leave them out? And so I think for the time being, I'll say the Big Ten is a 3-bid league with the winner of USC and Oregon this weekend being that third team, but that Michigan game in a couple weeks is going to be big time.
Well, and there's so many implications there because let's say that SC beats Oregon this week, and then let's say that Michigan beats Ohio State. You have 3 10-2 Big Ten teams. I think that would probably eliminate Vanderbilt. You?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the Vandy bandwagon. I absolutely love Pavia. Like, this is a team, I don't think that's had 9 wins since like 1915 or something like that. Maybe it's 10 wins. It's something ridiculous like that. I got to shout, one of my professors here at St. Mary's is a huge Vandy fan, so he's been keeping us updated about it. But I'm like, I hate to break his heart, but I don't know if Vandy has a path in, if I'm being honest with you. Because as of right now, I have A&M for sure locked in the SEC. I have Georgia locked in for sure. Ole Miss locked in for sure. Oklahoma because they just beat Alabama on the road. And then from there, Bama's probably that last SEC team.
Well, and I wanted to get to Oklahoma too because the committee has shown over the last few rankings that they are taking the John Mateer injury into account. Oklahoma lost technically at Texas, but that game was in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl. So they lost at Texas, and then they lost to Ole Miss at home by 8. Those are 2 tops. I think Texas is 17, so 2 top 17 losses. One of them when your quarterback was nowhere near his usual, and then you go on the road to Tuscaloosa, and you beat the number 4 team in the country.
Absolutely.
I don't know how you keep Oklahoma out.
I was going to say, the point about Mateer is totally right. Like, you saw what he was in the Red River rivalry between Texas. Like, day and night compared to what he was in Tuscaloosa this past weekend. He looked like that Heisman favorite early on in the year this past weekend in Tuscaloosa. He was absolutely balling. And that's a huge win for Brett Venables, who had a lot of questions to answer down in Norman.
Big time. So it gets a lot more interesting. The playoff scenarios, when you look at the 2 conferences that have not been as great this season, the Big 12 and the ACC. We'll get to the ACC in a second, but what happens if BYU beats Texas Tech in the Big 12 title game?
I think Texas Tech looked really good against BYU, and I don't think there's any signs that BYU does beat Texas Tech. But it's college football, especially in the Big 12. We've seen the Big 12 title games the past couple years. I mean, it gets crazy. That Oklahoma State Baylor game a couple years ago, and then the TCU Kansas State game as well. Like, crazy stuff happens in the Big 12, man. When they play, yep, there we are. Man, when we're in Jerry world, who knows?
I'm with you. Krez, what's your take on the Big 12? Because BYU got dominated on the road in Lubbock. Texas Tech is now 10-1. If they win the Big 12, they're obviously in, and I think they would probably get a bye. But do you think that they have to win that BYU game to get in?
Well, I don't think so. And I think that's going to go back to what Timmy was saying earlier, is teams should not be punished for playing in their conference championship games. Texas Tech already stuck it to BYU this year. And if they do meet again in the Big 12 championship and by chance lose, I don't see them losing like Tim was saying. But if that does happen, I don't think you can punish a team that much for making it to the conference title game and playing an important game that weekend when other teams are sitting on.
I'm with you. And I think that if BYU ends up winning the Big 12, I think the Big 12 turns into a 2-bid league, which makes things really, really weird. But let's talk about a league that is definitely not a 2-bid league. That's the ACC, because the ACC has been ridiculous this season. The only team in the ACC that currently controls their own fate is Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech does play Georgia in the last week of the season. I think they'll probably lose that game by a good amount, but that doesn't affect their chances to go to the ACC title game, of course. It's a non-conference game. Let's look at Miami. Miami this week is the number 13 team in the land. They are 8-2. They beat 8-2 Notre Dame, who is number 9. However, Miami is likely not going to get to the ACC title game. They need to beat Pitt in the last week of the season, and they also need Virginia to lose to Virginia Tech next week. Virginia's on a bye this week. Timmy, do you see any path to the ACC title game for the Hurricanes?
I'll be honest, not really, because they actually sit in 5th in the ACC right now. They have Pitt and SMU ahead of them, so they need a lot to go right for them. I am going to throw a nightmare scenario at you, though.
Give it to me.
What happens if Georgia Tech somehow beats Georgia? They finish the regular season 11-1, and Virginia runs the table as well. They're 10-2, and Virginia beats them in the ACC title game.
So that would put Georgia Tech at 11-2, but going to the ACC title.
Yep.
Virginia would be 11-2 as well and be the ACC champion.
Oh my God, that would be insane.
I would love to see it happen.
Yeah, so Virginia would be a top 5 conference champion at that point, and they would be in.
What would the committee do there? That would be such a hard decision.
Because Georgia Tech is 9-1, and their loss would be in a conference championship game, which we have agreed cannot punish teams. And if they beat Georgia, I mean, is there a chance the ACC is a 2-bid league at that point with Miami completely out of it?
I think for sure. I mean, the odds of that happening are slim to none, but if that exact scenario actually plays out as we just laid it out to be, I think there's an argument for it, but that would just be an insanely tough decision-making period for the committee at that point.
Miami does get a little bit of grace this week. They play Pitt in the last week of the season. However, Georgia Tech is only 2.5-point favorites against Pitt this weekend. So if Pitt beats Georgia Tech and then Miami beats Pitt, Miami would be above both of those teams, but then they got to worry about Virginia and SMU.
This is a dumpster fire. This is a complete dumpster fire.
It's college football, like rivalry week. I mean, dude, let's put it on the books, man. Haynes King's going to run for freaking 400 yards and 4 touchdowns against Georgia, and they're just going to run triple option all over Kirby.
They're going to matriculate the ball into the end zone constantly.
Fight song is going to be in the queue all game long.
Anything can happen on rivalry weekend, man.
Let's go back to Vanderbilt now. We talked about the SEC, but not really Vanderbilt. So Vandy finishes the season with Kentucky at home and then at Tennessee. In my book, Vandy, well, this is not debatable, I don't think. Vandy needs Texas Tech to win out. Vandy needs Texas Tech to beat BYU in the Big 12 title. They need to beat Kentucky and Tennessee. They need Texas Tech to win the Big 12, and the Big 12 needs to be a 1-bid league. But then you have Utah, because BYU and Utah are both ranked ahead of Vanderbilt right now. Even if BYU loses 2 games, Utah already has 2 losses. Does Vandy get ranked ahead of either of those 2 teams?
That's tough. I mean, I would say the big thing for the time being, especially like even Oklahoma, like they're 6th in the SEC currently in the standings. Like I think it would be pretty hard for Vandy for the time being in 7th place in the SEC to sneak in there.
I'm with you. So last thing of the college football playoff is the group of 5. The group of 5 will be the number 12 seed, no matter what. But in my mind, it's either the Athletic American Champion Conference out of the AAC, the champion there, which could be Navy, it could be Tulane, it could be North Texas, it could be East Carolina. Or it's James Madison. The Dukes have 1 loss. Navy has 1 loss. Tulane, UNT, and ECU are half a game back. They're 5-1. Navy is 6-1. How do you rate a Sun Belt champion JMU versus a 1-loss American champion, regardless of who it is?
I believe Navy has 2 losses, correct? 1 in conference.
They do. 6-1 in conference. They lost to Notre Dame.
Gotcha. I mean, that loss to Notre Dame helps, and their other loss is South Florida, I believe. So at the time, their 2 losses are both ranked opponents. That's pretty hard to butt out. I think it's pretty hard to butt out Navy or Tulane for the time being. Considering Tulane was the top ranked team this week, they were the team that came in at 24 in the poll. I would have to go with whoever runs the American Athletic Conference of Athletic Americans for the time being. With that said, though, I mean, hats off to JMU. I mean, we lose the dude you want to start your program with, Kurt Signetti at JMU, and you just rebuild it from the ground up once again, and you're in college football playoff talks 2 years later as well.
It's incredible. And
Real
unfortunately,
quick over here. A shout out to a former Akalani's Don, Logan Ketchum, currently on the JMU football team.
Let's go.
Oh God,
what position does he play?
he's D-line.
Hell yeah.
Don't know if he's ever seen the field, but I know he's on JMU.
Was he there when you were there?
Yeah, but he was a few years younger than me, so I never actually played with him.
He wasn't there when you were matriculating the ball all the way down to the end zone?
No, he didn't get the privilege to be on the field with me when I was matriculating the ball into the end zone.
When Krez was just running mesh concepts over the middle of the field and breaking DB's ankles with double moves.
Oh, mesh and sluggo all day, baby.
Double move, sideline, touchdown every time. Play the fight song.
Play the damn song.
Done. That's good. So I mean, just to wrap up on the college football playoff, I want to go 1 through 12 really quick. You guys interject if you have any thoughts here. Let's say Ohio State wins the Big Ten. They're expected to. I have them at 1. I have A&M at 2 as the SEC champion. I have Indiana at 3 if they go 12-1 and lose the Big Ten. Any objections there?
With a loss to Ohio State, I think they stay 3.
Let's say Texas Tech goes 12-1 and they win the Big 12. I have Tech at 4, getting a bye. I don't think that's a punishment to Georgia for losing the SEC title like we talked about. It's just rewarding a conference champion.
Exactly.
So
what you
100%.
said.
Okay, so let's say that we go Ohio State, A&M, Indiana, Tech. I would slot Georgia at 5 if they lose the SEC title. I would slot Ole Miss at 6. They're not going to play in the SEC title most likely. But I think it's hard to argue against a one-loss SEC Ole Miss. So let's slot Ole Miss at 6. Do you guys think that the winner of Oregon SC this weekend at 10-2 is the third Big Ten team at 7? Oregon is currently ranked 7.
Probably.
I think it's either them or one of the SEC schools we were talking about earlier, whether it's Oklahoma, probably Oklahoma, assuming they win out. But yeah, right now, I don't hate that.
And I like Oklahoma as well. I think a 10-2 Oklahoma is ranked higher than a 10-2 Notre Dame. I would put Oklahoma at 8. I think we can Sharpie in Notre Dame at 9. I don't think the committee would give them a home playoff game because of those 2 losses to start the season. But if Notre Dame makes the playoff at 10-2, they're going to be coming off 10 straight wins after losses to Miami and loss to A&M.
By a combined 4 points.
Dangerous team. That's a team that can win the national title in my opinion. So then we have Notre Dame at 9. You have the group of 5 at 12, 100%. And then you have Alabama, BYU, Utah, and the ACC champion for 2 spots. 4 teams for 2 spots, in my opinion. I think if Virginia or Georgia Tech is 10-2, I guess, yeah, if Virginia or 11-2 rather, I think you put them at 11. And then I think it's Alabama just edging out BYU or Utah at 10. That's so tough because BYU and Utah are right there behind Alabama.
I just think it goes back to that SEC bias, man. I feel like SEC teams are just put up on a pedestal, and I think the committee would put Bama over both BYU and Utah.
And Alabama has great wins this year. The next college football playoff rankings will come out on Tuesday. Timmy, we might have to bring you on next week to talk about what goes on this week because it's a cluster. And I love it. It's awesome. But thanks for taking the time, my man. I mean, we're in for a real treat in the end of the college football season.
I appreciate you guys for having me, man. This has been a great opportunity. Yeah, man, these final 2 weeks are going to be absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I think, Krez, I think we might need to make our guy Tim here a weekly college football expert, get his analysis and opinions, because that was some very good insight, and we're going to have a firework finish.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, you'll be on again soon, Timmy. Appreciate the time, brother.
Timmy Daly, everybody. Thank you.
We're getting on the golf course soon, Krez.
Dude, let's make it happen.
Easy.
Yes, sir.
Have a good night, fellas.
Thanks to our guy, Tim Daly, for giving us some expert college football analysis. Let's get into the picks for this week. Welcome back to Mounsey's Minute. Where's my helmet hoodie? Give it to
Put
me.
that thing on.
Give it to me. Got my guys from Tulsa back again. We went 6-6 last week. Shot 500. We're getting it back this week. As we did last week, here are the burrito picks. 5 of them for you. We took Northwestern last week. They kept it real tight against Michigan. They're going to do so again against Minnesota, who lost by 100,000 points at Oregon last Friday. Go ahead and take Northwestern -3.5. Arizona, we're going to take -6.5 against Baylor. Baylor lost by 1 million last week at home against Utah. Arizona had an upset win against Cincinnati. They keep the momentum rolling. Go ahead and take the Wildcats. East Carolina, college football playoff implications. They got a lot to play for. They're -2.5 against the Roadrunners from UTSA. We're going to take ECU. Our Husker fans are going to love this one. Going to Penn State. Give me the Huskers. They're getting 9.5. TJ Lateef has been magnificent filling in for Dylan Raiola. I think the Huskers keep this really close. They might win outright. Needs to run the table to make the college football playoff. They got a ton to play for this weekend against a Cincinnati team that just got embarrassed on the road at Arizona. BYU's laying 2.5. We're going to take them this week. We got a couple more for you. Oklahoma, with a huge upset win at Alabama last week. They've got Missouri this week. Take the Sooners to keep it rolling, -7.5. Virginia Tech, they got a lot to prove. They just hired James Franklin. Miami, we picked against them last week. Surely I wouldn't do it again, right? They beat North Carolina State by 100. Yeah, I would. Give me the Hokies, +18.5. I'll take the points. Took USC last week as well. They lost, or didn't cover, rather. Go ahead and give me the Trojans. They're getting 10.5. That's game day at Autzen in Eugene against Oregon. Michigan was not impressive against Northwestern. I had Northwestern last week. I'm going to pick against Michigan once again. I think they win, but I think the Dirty Terps of Maryland keep it close. Give me 13.5 points. The Tennessee Volunteers. They've been rocky, but it's Rocky Top. They're going to Florida, and they're laying 4.5. I'm going to pick against Florida once again. Give me the Vols. Finally, Wisconsin might be the worst team in America. They beat Washington at home a couple weeks ago. Washington beat Illinois. Wisconsin's getting 8.5 against Illinois. Give me the Badgers and give me the points. That's what we got this week, baby.
Big Ten football.
The helmet hoodie. Keep it rolling.
You look like you're ready to go into a scrum rugby style.
Hell yeah.
Oh, God.
All right, let's transition. Krez, let's go with our next segment. We've got the least surprising headline of the week. You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'll let it rip. I love this one because there was a hilarious headline this week that I honestly, I'm not surprised one bit that it happened. And it was the fact that the two best receivers on the Dallas Cowboys sat out the first drive of the game on their Monday night game against the Raiders. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens were just shown on the TV, standing right next to each other on the sideline. I'm thinking, what the hell are they doing? Like, these guys are both Pro Bowlers. They should be out there. Like, what's going on? Are they hurt or something? No, they are not hurt, actually. They were just seen out at the Red Rocks Casino and Hotel at 7:30 in the morning of game day. And there are reports going around. I'm not sure if this is true, but I'm going to believe it just because it's hilarious. CeeDee Lamb was seen throwing up in a trash can in the lobby of the hotel the morning of the game. So it all makes a whole lot of sense to me on why they were sitting out. It doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, George Pickens is a psychopath, and I don't think CeeDee Lamb's all too bright either. But it's also the Dallas Cowboys, which makes it exponentially more funny. And I saw something on Instagram earlier today, and it was a quote from CeeDee Lamb. And he says, "That's a disrespect to even suggest that. I know how to hold my liquor." Bro, you're like 24 years old. I doubt you know how to hold your liquor. So just keep fucking talking. I don't know. I'm not a huge CeeDee Lamb guy, but it was just something that I thought was pretty humorous considering it was Cowboys players, and it just doesn't surprise me with the two type of guys they are. So that's my least surprising headline of the week.
Krez, I really wish that you could see my card right here that I'm holding, because I have the exact same least surprising headline on. CeeDee
Dude,
Lamb seen chundering in the Red Rock Casino 12 hours before game time.
it's ridiculous. And like I said, I'm not surprised one bit by those guys just staying out till all hours. They were out until the sun came up.
Yes, they were. It was officially a, quote, coach's decision for holding them out of the first drive. You obviously can't sit those guys for an entire game, even if you're playing the Raiders, who are the worst team on God's green earth. They missed curfew the night prior by about 8 hours. So it's not a big surprise. These guys
No.
are idiots.
Yeah, they're not the sharpest tool in the shed, let's say. But another thing that makes it even more hilarious is that they both go out there and have themselves a game. I think CeeDee Lamb had 66 yards and a touchdown, and Pickens went for like 144 and a touchdown. So clearly, being up till 7:30 in the morning didn't really affect them all too much.
Nope, CD had the first touchdown of that ball game.
Yes, indeed, he did. He started it off just like he ended the night, nice and hot.
So let's talk about a couple other NFL games this week before we sign off here. The first thing I wanted to ask you about, Krez, is the first place Chicago Bears.
Dude, how about the
Because
Bears?
our guy Michael Horak sent me a text this week, and he wanted to hear about Da Bears on the pod. They're 7-3. How the hell did this happen?
I genuinely have no idea. Clearly, Ben Johnson's doing something right over there. There was another video I saw of Big Cat, who's obviously a huge Chicago Bears guy, and he was running through the schedule before the season had started. And I think that he was picking Bears games unbiasedly, whether they would win or lose. I think he had them finishing with 4 or 5 wins. They've already surpassed that. And like you said, they're in first place in a good conference, man. With the Packers and the Vikings right there, I mean, if the Bears can win some big games down the stretch, they might be a team to look out for. And Caleb Williams, as much as I don't like the guy, he's looking better every single week.
I would like to add an asterisk to Da Bears right now, because they have an absolute juggernaut to finish the season. They've got Pittsburgh at home this week. They could win that game. They are 2.5-point favorites. But then they have to go to Philadelphia on a Friday night. Then they have to go to Green Bay. Then they have a cupcake with the Browns. But then they got Green Bay at home. Then they got to go to San Francisco, your Niners. And then they finish with Detroit. So they got Green Bay twice, Philly once, Detroit once to end the season. I see 4 losses.
Yeah, that's a hell of a way to finish the season. I mean, obviously, that's not what you're looking for. Coming down the stretch, those are all very good football teams. And just wanted to point out, I will actually be live in Lambeau Field for the Packers-Bears game on December 8th. So look for me in the stands if you tune in.
We will indeed. So let's talk about the NFC West. You're a Niners guy, I'm a Seahawks guy. It's the best division in football. I don't think anyone's really going to debate that. Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions last week against the Rams, and the Seahawks still had a 61-yard field goal to win the game at the buzzer. The Seahawks defense is real, but I think that the Rams are the team that I like most at this point of the season.
The Rams just find a way to win against good teams. Sam Darnold turned the ball over 4 times, but they were in that game till the end, so I still really like the Seahawks. I'm high on them, and I like the Rams too, bro. I mean, as much as I dislike both teams, I can't deny it. The Rams are a really, really good football team. Their offense is super high powered and their defense is young and hungry, and they got a good defensive line helping everyone out on the back end too. And then you can't forget about the Niners too. Purdy comes back and he looks great. I know that they played the Cardinals, but I wasn't really expecting Purdy to come back and look like that. So I don't know. I think we're in for a great finish in the NFC West. And like you said, I do agree it's the best division in football.
It's going to be very exciting. I did just look, by the way, the Cornhuskers did win tonight by 12 points against the Lobos of New Mexico. Our guy
Shout out
Sam
one.
Williams had 6 points and 7 rebounds and 6 assists.
Stat sheet stuffer.
He stuffs it once again. Sam will be back on Tuesday. So the Kansas City Chiefs, Krez, are 5-5. They are 3.5-point favorites at home against the Colts this weekend. If the Chiefs lose that game and they go 5-6, I'm ready to say it. And I've never said this before because I never doubt the Chiefs. I think if they make the playoffs, they could win it. But if they go 5-6, I think that they probably miss the playoffs. And I think that the dynasty has potential to be over.
Yeah, man. I'm being 5-6, and they're in a tough division too. They have some tough divisional games to finish out the season. So I think obviously being under 500 at this point in the season is not good. I mean, I'd never want to doubt the Chiefs either, just because Patrick Mahomes is probably the best quarterback I've ever seen step on a football field, as much as it pains me to say that. But yeah, I don't know. There's something in the water over there this year. Their offense isn't that great, man. And their defense is taking a step back too. So I I think if they do lose this week, it's gonna be tough for them to sneak in.
Yeah, I just don't know what to think about this Kansas City team because their defense doesn't really keep them in games. And Mahomes hasn't had the best weapons around him the last few years. Of course, he has Kelsey, but Rashi Rice missed the first 6 games of the season. Hollywood Brown hasn't really been anything special. If the Chiefs win this weekend, I think I might be right back on the wagon and say, hey, I'll never say anything bad about the Chiefs again. But if they lose this week, they're in trouble. Another team that would be in trouble this week if they lost, season would probably be over, is the Cowboys. They are only 3.5-point underdogs at home against the reigning champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, who just got it done on Monday night. They do have a short week, but they got it done on Monday night at home against the Lions. Who do you like in this game?
I think the Cowboys have a really good chance to keep this game super close and possibly even win it. From what I've seen the last few weeks, the Eagles' offense has been atrocious. They haven't been able to do anything. Jalen Hurts isn't running the ball like he was last season. I don't know if that's him being worried of getting injured or what the deal is. I feel like they can't push the ball downfield. AJ Brown has been very subpar this year, and it's really their defense keeping them in games. And Dallas can score a lot of points if they're playing well. So I like the Cowboys to keep it close and possibly even pull off the upset at home.
I think it will be a close game. Philly has Saquon, which just makes me second guess everything. But I want to get to a line that smells really, really bad to me. The Rams are 7-point favorites against the Buccaneers. Sure, Baker and the Bucks go to Buffalo last week and they lose to Josh Allen by like 12, and Josh Allen had 6 touchdowns. But Tampa Bay is still really good. I don't really understand why LA is 7-point favorites in this one.
Yeah, I think that's a line that Vegas knows something that we don't. And normally I would take the Bucks, but considering what the line's at, I'm gonna lay the points. Give me the Rams.
Why not? I do have a couple picks that I would like to get out before we go ahead and end this episode 6. And before I make those picks, I would like to retract a previous pick that I gave out. When myself and Sam recorded earlier this week, I did not know that Shedeur Sanders would be starting for the Browns. I gave out the Browns. I would like to formally retract that pick. And I do not want to pick on that game because those are the worst 2 teams in the league. And Shedeur Sanders is playing against the Raiders. I think there's going to be like 30 interceptions in that game. And I don't want any part of the Browns in that game. So I would like to formally retract that pick. Is that okay with you?
Perfectly fine by me. I think that's completely fair considering you didn't know Shedeur was going to be under center.
Shedeur. Yeah. If Dylan Gabriel was starting, I would take the Browns. I do have a pick. I would like to take the Bears. Bears -2.5. They are at home against Pittsburgh. You have anything that you would like to give out? Any lines that you like this weekend, Krez?
I do not specifically. Just give me the Niners by 1,000,000. I'll be in the stands, and Hoodie is going to go nuts against the Panthers.
You are 7-point favorites as of now against the Panthers. A couple other picks I'd like to give out. Give me the Falcons with Kirk Cousins. They are getting 2.5 at New Orleans. The Saints are still bad. Kirk Cousins was a starter at one point. Whatever. Give me 2.5. I would like to take the Eagles. I think the line smells poorly, and so I'm going to take 3.5. I'm going to take the Bucks, as I mentioned, +7. I would also like to take the Jaguars. -3. They are at the Cardinals. The Cardinals looked miserable against the Niners. That game was over before it started last week. I would also like to give out the Chiefs and the Colts over. That is 49.5. And then let's go back to that Browns-Raiders game, the 2 worst teams in the NFL, under 36.5. I think that's a 10-7 final.
Captain Underpants.
Under. But a lot of good games in the NFL this week. Not a ton of ranked matchups in college, but the NFL has been a little bit unpredictable this season. I'm excited to see what happens this week because even if you look at a team like New England, who's in first place, they're playing a last place schedule and they haven't really played anyone. Yet I still think they might get home field in the AFC.
Yeah, they're playing a last place schedule because obviously they finished in last place last year. But Drake Mays looked good. I like the Patriots. I don't know if I see them coming out of the AFC, but I do think it's very possible they could get that first round bye.
I'm with you. All right, we gave out some picks. We talked college football. Shout out to our guy Tim Daly. Krez, you got anything for the people before we sign off here?
The only thing that I got is to make sure you drink your Nikolai. Max Duggan surely will be, and I will be as well.
Max Duggan, please come on the pod.
Please and thank you.
Mr. Duggan, that's our guy. That's all I got for the people. Another great episode. We'll be back on Tuesday with our guy Sam Hoiberg. Hopefully the Huskers can get it done tomorrow night. It'll be tonight for those of you listening on Friday. That's about all I got. Another good one.
Damn straight. Like, comment, subscribe, baby.
Please do that. And please go ahead and follow us and like all of our stuff and subscribe. It helps us out tremendously. And if you or anyone that you know would like to sponsor the sports section, we are currently taking sponsorships. I got a big desk up here that can hold some products, put some advertisements, whatever you're thinking. Email us, sportssectionpodcast@gmail.com, or reach out, send us a DM. Whatever. That's about all
Whatever
I got.
floats your boat, baby.
Give it to us. We're ready to get some revenue flowing. Like, comment, subscribe. That's Nick Kresnak. I'm Matthew Mounsey.
Call God, ladies and gentlemen.
See you next time.